I am Nicaratus, actor. 40 years, yes, 40 years ago, on a typical sunny but cold day in spring, my father, Artemidorus, you might remember him, comes on stage as King Pentheus in the Bacchae of Euripides, dressed in a heavy-sleeved gown, padded in the chest and shoulders, since he is like me, a slight man, and I don't know what possesses him. He's famous for his quick changes, wearing his queen agave underneath. Well, he sweats through, he leaves the stage, changes masks, comes back on again as the distracted queen in the damp gown. The sun goes in and he chills to the bone. You'd never know. I've not heard him better. He's famous for his women, especially the crazy ones, Agave, Cassandra, tear ringers like Niobe. But he has no luck this day. This day, the leading man who plays the god gets the prize, gives a party. Father does not like to leave early in case it shall be misunderstood, so he stays drinking till past midnight. A cold goes to his chest with a high fever, and on the third night he dies. Yeah. Though I'm 19 at the time, it is the first death in our house since I was born, and I'm dazed by it. I'm just dazed by it. Father lying on his bier with his feet toward the door, house turned upside down. Mother and grandmother and sister wailing and flinging their arms across him. And neighbors and actors in the tiny room, edging and shouldering in and out to pay respects. The neighbors leave quite soon. Outsiders never know what to say about an actor. But his fellow artists, they hang about. Oh, how good he was to work with Nico. Always ready to help a friend. My mother could attest to that. Never dried, they said, could keep going through anything. And then they tell some tales that make me stare, not having yet learned anything can happen on tour. What talent, he said. Nico. Poor Artemidorus, a disgrace. He was passed over at the Lanaya. Nobody remembers seeing a Polyxena done with more feeling, but the lot fell on some poor judges this year. Ugh. Well, I don't know. How long I had known at this time, at this point, that I was more than he. 2 years, 3 years. I was 16. I'm 16 when I see him play Achilles in the Sacrifice at Aulis, and I doubt it is new to me even then. He always moves well. He can say anything with those hands. His voice is charming. He makes Achilles a delightful youth, spirited, sincere, arrogant, but too boyish to offend. And oh yes, they could eat him up. Hardly noticing his Agamemnon, cannot wait till he comes back as Achilles. But the shadow of all that darkness, the black grief beside the shore, the dreadful war yell, whose pain and anger scares even the horses. It is close ahead, one ought to feel it breathe. He creeps in my hair where he speaks of his slighted honor, but already I hear another player, hardly yet knowing whom. He has everything the artist needs except the spark of the god. I've been going on with him ever since I can stand. I remember quite clearly playing a Styanax to his Andromache in The Trojan Women, also by Euripides, when I'm 6. Styanax needs to act, so father tells me the plot. Promises I won't really be thrown from the walls in spite of all the talk about it. And first rehearsal, he sends me out in front to see the masks as the audience sees them. Climbing up high above the seats of honor, I'm surprised. I'm surprised how human they look and how sad. And oh, and while I am up there, he does his Cassandra for me. God mad with 2 torches. Oh, it's so marvelous. Everyone agrees it is his greatest performance. I fight for years to go on thinking him great. And he changes masks, ready for Andromache. It's the play where they bring her in from the sacked Troy in a cart piled with loot. Child in her arms, just like 2 more pieces of plunder, a wonderful bit of theatre. Don't look at the herald, he says to me at the rehearsal. You're not supposed to know what he means, though any child would that is right in the head. The day of performance, I remember, still aggrieved there is no mask for me, though I have been told that children do not use them. Never mind, he says, the time will come, pulling his own mask down, this smiling face going into his solemn one. He's in the prologue as Athene. Outside the Parados, the cart is waiting, drawn by 4 oxen with the gilded spoils of Troy. At last comes the call boy and my father in the pale mask of the shorn-haired widow. He clambers up, somebody hoists me after, he sets me on his knee, and the oxen start. Don't look at the audience, he says to me. You're scared of strangers. Just think how they chopped up your poor old granddad Priam. Well, no, I direct a Styanax. He's Hector's son. I like him alert and bold, thinking no evil till the time, but my father knows his business. Even the man is sighing as we come slowly into the orchestra. And I hear the little coos and cries of the women floating on this deep bass, and then quite suddenly it takes the hold of me. My father and I are doing, alone, by ourselves, are doing this with 15,000 people. We will carry them all with us to Troy and make them see us just as we choose to be. I can taste it still. The first sip of power. And then when the herald comes with the news that I must die, I remembered I was not supposed to heed him, but I thought I ought to look sorry for my mother's grief. So I reached out and I touched the mask's dead hair. At this, a sobbing and a sighing rises from the block where the heteras sit, the courtesans, the prostitutes, the ones who really know the tragedies and who love a good cry more than figs. And then when the herald carries me off to die, I think everyone backstage will be there to pay me compliments, but only the wardrobe master's assistant comes in a hurry to strip me naked and paint on my bloody wounds. The father exits soon after, runs up to pat my bare belly as I lay and say good boy, and then he's off again. Quick change, Andromache to Helen of Troy, always the most splendid costume, and then he's on again, and I hear the new voice. Bland and beguiling, answering angry Menelaus. Now the cue comes for me to be brought on dead. They stretch me On a shield, 2 extras pick it up, and I give my mind to lying limp, as I have been told. The chorus calls out the dreadful news to my granny Hecuba, lying with my eyes shut, while the herald makes a long speech about my death. I pray Dionysus will not let me sneeze. And then there's a pause. And then a terrible, low voice says right beside me, "Lay down the circled shield of Hector on the ground. A hateful thing to look at, it means no love to me." Now, I have been very well rehearsed in this scene, but not with Hecuba. I had seen the mask only. This is Croesus, the leading actor, then at the peak of his powers, and he does not expect to tutor children. The voice seems to go all through me, and it makes my backbone creep with cold. I forget it is I who is being mourned for. There's no sweetness here in Hecuba. Old pride brought naked to despair, still new to it. At the bottom of the pit, a new pit opens, and still the mind can feel. Cold hands touched my head. So silent is the theatre above us that I hear quite clearly from the pines outside the murmur of a dove. I'm not yet 7, I think I remember. Though no doubt I mixed in scraps from all sorts of later renderings, Philemon, Thetalos. Even from my own, but one thing I remember for certain is the swelling in my throat. Horror that comes over me. I'm going to cry. I'm going to wreck the play. The sponsor will lose his prize, Croesus' crown. Father will never get a job again. We shall be in the streets begging for our bread. And worst of all, I will have to face this terrible Hecuba after the play without the mask. Tears spring from my eyes. My nose is stuffed up, and I pray that I might die, or that the earth will open before I sob aloud. I'm drawn into the arms of Hecuba, the wrinkled mask bent close above, and the flute, which has been playing softly during the herald's speech, getting a cue, now wails loudly, and under the noise, Queen Hecuba whispers to me, "Be quiet, you little bastard, you're dead." Right away, I sink back. I'm fine. And as he washes and shrouds me, he neatly wipes my nose, and the play goes on to the end. And yet had not the very hand of God gripped and crushed this city deep in the ground, we should have disappeared into darkness and not given theme for music or the songs of men to come. The extra carried me off, and I thought, we are the men to come. My father, who's seen this all from the wings, he runs on. Just they slide me off the shield, asking what's come over me. I said, "Father, I did not make a noise, I swear." And Croesus comes off. Stops, stares, releases the trance, pushes up his mask. He's a thin man, all profile, like a god on a coin, but bald. And he comes towards us, and he fishes me out, squirming from behind my father's back, all smeared with blood, paint, and snot. And then he grins, not angry, yellow teeth. He says, "By the dog, Artemidorus, I thought we were finished then." Grinning grimacing like an actor in a slave's mask, a comedian in a slave's mask. He says, "Artemidorus, this boy has feeling. but he also knows what he is about. What's your name, boy? Nico, I said. Niceratus, said my father. Victory, said Croesus. A good omen. Well, we'll see.